is all over for 2024, and Chris Standish is about to get the shower from the Gatorade bottle, and he doesn't mind that either. Big smile on his face. Well, maybe not. Maybe he didn't like it. It's pretty chilly, but he is happy to head out and celebrate with his team back-to-back Baggataway Cup championships for the Western Mustangs.
It's Sunday night, 9 o'clock. Welcome to All Lacrosse Live. I'm Gary Groob in Toronto. And with me, as always, I've got Shawn Slaght over at Moose Jaw. How are you, Shawn?
Doing pretty good. Thanks, Gary.
Excellent. And I've got Muffler Mike over in Connecticut. Mike, how are you?
I'm doing good.
Band's back together again. Shawn, it's good to have you back.
Yeah.
Coming from under weather last week. You're looking bright-eyed, bushy-tailed.
Thanks. Yeah, feeling a lot better.
That's awesome. Good to have us all back. We got a great show for you tonight, guys. We got the Baggataway Cup weekend that just happened over here in Canada. And we've got the NLL opening up training camps, and we have a lot of clips from coaches and players to share with you as well. And just before we get rolling, just remember that all of our episodes are streamed live across Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and also Twitch. And remember to hit the subscribe, follow, and like buttons, and always share. Have a look at some of our affiliates, the Pat Bernard Show, the Attacking Third, Steel Steps, as well as a whole host of programming from Streampunk Entertainment. If you missed a show, no worries. You can grab all of our library over on our YouTube page at All Across All the Time, or you can look at Streampunk Lacrosse on YouTube as well. On our YouTube page, you will also catch retro games, interviews, our library of shows, fights, press conferences, a whole host of stuff. All kinds of things. There's also going to be, I believe I'm grabbing the 3 more games, retro games tomorrow. So up during the week will be 3 more of the old style games where you can see some of your favorite coaches in their heyday, as well as a lot of Hall of Famers. Some really great games, too. We have Eduardo with us. Ooh. Eduardo, I wish you're feeling better.
Get well soon.
Get well soon. That's right. All righty. A little bit of news. We've talked about lacrossing barriers, and, of course, they're based out of Calgary. But we know that they've been in Halifax. We talked last week that they're in Shawn's neck of the woods over in Moose Jaw now. Now let's add Victoria to that schedule. So starting now at the Kilsit School. Pretty awesome. I love watching them go further and further across. Let everybody have an opportunity to play this great game as well as any other game.
Yeah, no, I was really excited when they announced Moose Jaw. It's excellent to hear.
Yeah. Just to be included is amazing. That's already a step in the right direction. Now, inclusivity and funding is a great thing too. If you go on to Lacrosse Barriers Instagram page, there's still voting going on for a game-changing grant. So please get on over there, go into their bio and vote for them. It is a well worthwhile cause. You will not be disappointed. And believe me, you're helping out many who have never had the opportunity and are just starting to now, and many more that need it. There you go. Moose Jaw represent.
Nice.
Love it. Love it. All right. The Canadian Lacrosse Hall of Fame inducted the Victoria Shamrock team, members of the team from 96 to 2006. In that 11-year span, that team won 4-man cups and 6 WLA championships. Pretty amazing. So who's who in that picture of lacrosse? That probably was the last time it was, the West was so dominant in the Man Cup. So we're hoping to change that around soon too. And I think we can. I think with the pool of players that are going in there now, I think sky's the limit. And when we were talking with Paul DeMonte a few weeks back, he's rather enthused and excited about it as well. Let's make sure that we keep everything competitive, East and West. Remember also it is it's Native American History Month now that we're in November. And on our page as well as on streampunkentertainment.com, streampunkent.com, you will get a daily clip or article of something to do with Native American and how it relates to lacrosse. And it's just in my way of trying to bridge the gap of understanding between non-native and native. And let's push everything a little further forward than what we're going. We're moving in the right direction. Let's keep it going. And understanding is the key, and knowledge. So there's some really, really great stuff in there. The first couple of days have been great. Today's one was actually about the history of lacrosse in Minnesota. So we're talking about Choctaw and the rest of that. So, again, everybody has a different style of lacrosse. And some of them were little sticks, some of the big sticks. Some of them look like these sticks. And they're pretty amazing. They're pretty cool. And the game itself is really, really cool as well. So there's a lot of really great videos. So check it out. It's up every morning. Sometimes later in the morning, but most days it's in the morning. That article is up and will be for the entire month of November. So let's give that a little look. Well, we mentioned this off the top, and of course it was Baggataway weekend, and we've been talking about it. Excuse me. We had Tom Blesky, the Deputy Commissioner of GUFLA, on, and what an exciting weekend this was. Mike, you're the one who mentioned it off air. If on your bingo card you had picked that both 10-0 teams got defeated in the semifinals, if you could put that into a Bet365 or something like that, I'm pretty sure you could walk away with a fair amount of money.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think anyone expected that to occur, but both teams went down in the semifinals. So
yeah,
why personally that always scares you when you go into playoffs undefeated because you never know when's that shoe going to drop, right?
Right.
That's pretty bizarre though. Like both teams, you can see one.
Yeah.
But both teams, my gosh. But the entire weekend was just absolutely spectacular and great lacrosse. Absolutely spectacular lacrosse in all this. So we had the final today, and it was an 11-3 victory for Western over Queens. But that's not to tell that this game wasn't exciting, because after one quarter, it was 1-0. And shots on goal were 7-6. So the goalies were absolutely spectacular. At the half, it was 3-2. And again, 13-10 were the shots on goal in favor of Western. And the goalies, again, were absolutely spectacular. Come the third and fourth quarters, Western was able to put it into another gear and outscored the Queens Gales 8-1. And not only that, but they outshot them 15-4. They just took control of the game. Connor John with 3 goals in the second half. Max Brook with 2 goals in the fourth quarter. And that was all she wrote. Special teams for Western also, they went with 3 power play goals and 1 shorthanded goal. So they dominated. As for the goaltending, Quentin Greenfield made 17 saves for Queens. He got peppered with a lot of shots. Fisher Stoltz in the Western net, he made 11 saves on 14 shots. So this is Western's 9th Baggataway championship. It's back-to-back as well, as you heard in the opening. So they are an exciting program. They have yielded a lot of really great NLLers over the years as well. So really, really great program. Queens was vying for their first one, so their program is really moving as well. So I expect a lot out of Queens over the next few years as well. But the parity in there, wow. Just to give a little bit of props to all the teams. Of course, Brock, who were the host university. Western University got in there by defeating Nipissing in the playoffs. Queens University got in by defeating Carleton. Ottawa got in, remember, with that upset defeating Trent. And that was the first of the upsets to come. Guelph got in defeating U of T, University of Toronto. And McGill got in defeating Bishops University. So that is how it came about. But pretty crazy. Just to show just the, of course, the sheer exuberance of it all. Here's Western. Yeah, big congratulations to the Western Mustangs on a well-earned championship. Remember, they had to play all the games. They went 4-0 in this. So, congratulations. All right. Well, that brings us over to the NLL, guys. And, well, interestingly enough, it was the opening of training camp. And, well, there's that fever again, guys.
Yep.
Fever. Now, before we get moving on that, with training camp, of course, comes preseason games. I want to just list a few of them while I have it on my mind. Over in Oakville at the Rock Athletic Center, the next 3 Saturdays have Rock games in which you're going to see Calgary on the 9th, Saskatchewan on the 16th, and the Philadelphia Wings on the 23rd. Now, there also are games on the Sundays there at noon. And stick around. I'll see if I can get a schedule for that. But I know that Philadelphia is playing in there. I think they're playing Buffalo at one point. And Vegas is in there at one point playing Saskatchewan, I believe. And there's a few things going on in there. But those are Sunday just out of the morning. So if you want to stay over in Oakville. Or
yeah, it's a Friday. The rush are in Vegas are the Friday.
For the Friday game. Okay. All right. Over in the ILA, a much busier little scenario there. On the 9th, you've got Halifax against Albany as well. That's a 6 o'clock game. The 8:30 game has Ottawa versus Georgia. On the 10th, you've got Albany facing Rochester. On the 16th, you have Georgia facing Halifax. On the 17th, you have at 3:30 in the afternoon, Philadelphia playing Albany. And at 5 o'clock on the 23rd, you have Ottawa facing Halifax. And at 8 o'clock on that same day, Georgia facing Buffalo. So a number of games. We'll put these things up on our Facebook page and browse through them at your leisure. And if any of these games work for you. One other one in the area to help with the Minto Cup and the expenses there. Preseason matchup between Buffalo and Las Vegas, Saturday, November the 16th at the Meridian Center in St. Catharines. 7 p.m. is the start time there. If you were on the West Coast and happen to be able to get to the Langley Event Center, on the 9th, Colorado's playing Vancouver. And on the 23rd, Calgary is playing Vancouver. It's free admission, so you can't beat the price. But Yeah. When we take a look at a few things going on, well, the NLL is excited for it too, and all the players. They have the fever as well. So why don't we just get on with their little clip it.
What's up with the uniform?
Camp starts tomorrow. Gotta be ready.
Man, super excited for camp. Can barely sleep.
Yeah, me too. Good thing we got here early, eh?
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited for camp, but Max hasn't shut up about it for weeks.
Can't have any greasers at training camp.
Yes, sir. Everybody's excited, even the mascots. Well, Shawn, I'm going to put it off to you since I think the Rush have probably been right up there as one of the top teams in making moves. And when we get to, I've got a few clips of the coaches speaking. The big thing that we keep hearing about that is coming back to the winning culture. Let's talk about a little bit about some of the guys that are back and some of the guys that are new in there or not so new, as opposed with a guy like Austin Shanks, who knows everybody in there.
Yeah, I mean, that's where they really want to get back to, is the rush that they had in the 2016, 2017, 2018, where they're perennial in the championships or really in the running, where they've been out of the playoffs last 2-3 years now. But you brought in guys now like Levi Anderson, which we'll hear later, where they're really looking at his versatility, especially as a big body. He can play both sides of the floor. You also bring in guys like Josh Zawada. This is probably, and again, they'll mention this in the clips coming up too, this is probably one of the training camps where they have the most bodies in right now, especially considering they've had those two kind of draft classes that are just coming in. But of course, you have the usual characters, Robert Church, Ryan Keenan, Clark Walter, I've heard, has come in even better shape this year, which is bad news for the rest of the league. Patrick Dodds is not on the training camp roster. It sounds like he could be out this year because of work commitments. Again, you have Mike Triolo, Daniel Nazednikov. Those guys could actually be battling for positions. They may actually find themselves out of a job. And then you bring in, Evan Messenger, the guys who came over from Panther City. This is going to be, like you said, Gary, they're trying to bring this back to at least getting back into the playoffs and be a competitive team again.
Right. It certainly is looking like they're going to do it. Why don't we listen to the coaching staff? We can start with Mr. Derek Keenan and talk about the winning culture.
Derek, day one of training camp for you guys, and you compared to last year, a bigger field and a lot of people on the floor here. Just what was it like seeing so many guys out here today and getting going?
You know what? It's a record number that this organization I think's ever had, and for myself too, as a GM coach, it's the most bodies we've ever had. But of course, with kind of the double cohort draft and that, we 12 draft picks this year plus, free agent and Panther City guys. So, but it was good. And the one thing that it allows you to do when you have that many bodies is to really get after it. And I thought the tempo, the pace was just a little bit frantic at times and a little too much. There were some mistakes made, but I thought the compete was really good. And that's what we asked for. Let's play hard, let's compete hard, and there's some jobs on the line, and I think the guys really came out and performed well. And like I said, some mistakes, especially in the offensive end, but that's all familiarity, learning system, a couple new guys, actually a lot of new guys. Defensively, I thought, both during the drills and in the scrimmage, I thought we were pretty good. So, and we got after it, and we pressured and played at a quick pace, so that was good.
When you have those many people out on the floor at once, especially for day one, what's the biggest thing you're looking at as a GM and as a coach in terms of intensity, work ethic, those type of things to get things going?
All of that. We're looking, we want guys, we talked about that pre-practice, we're trying to get back to our winning culture here. And how do you do that? Some would say, well, you win. Well, there's a process to that, and it starts with how hard you compete, at a training camp or in practice. And I know that our kind of leadership guys, they want to get after it. And we saw that tonight, and I thought the new guys all fed off of that. They saw how hard the older guys and a couple of the younger veteran guys that have been around for a few years now, how hard they play, and I think it's contagious.
It's not hard to miss Levi Anderson out there. What did you see from him in his first practices?
He's just an athlete. I think we can use him in a lot of situations, and tomorrow you'll see him more on the defensive side of the ball. We'll give that a go and get him out running the floor in transition, and he needs to learn both ends of the floor, because I think that's where we're going to see him play quite a bit. And but you can just tell he's one of those guys. He doesn't look like he's moving, but he's really moving. He's a big body. He's strong. He's got good skills. So he's going to be a good weapon for us.
Also, just wanted to ask about Austin Shanks. I mean, he's had a prolific career here in the National Lacrosse League. In terms of just gelling with some of the forward core that you added to here, what do you see out there?
Probably won't be a problem, given I've known him since he was a kid, coached him from a very young age, and played with Ryan and a couple of the other guys, and he's a very cerebral player, so he'll pick things up quickly, and he obviously has a very good skill set.
You mentioned that you want to get back to that winning culture. It's been about 3 years since the Russian Blast made the playoff. Just how do you get back there? What are you looking for in the team to kind of get that process back going?
You have to have consistency. I mean, I think last year in particular, we saw really good stretches of during the season, during games, but it's that putting the whole 60 minutes together, putting together 3, 4, 5 games in a row in all aspects of the game, right from goaltending to defense to transition to offense to special teams, putting that whole package together consistently. And I think with the growth of our younger core guys on the defensive end and the additions we've made on offense, I think we're getting close to being there.
Absolutely. There's that, again, bringing up Levi Anderson and, again, the winning culture in there. Now, we also had Jimmy Quinlan, and he brings up the same things about winning culture and, of course, guys like Levi Anderson and a number of other things.
First impressions of day one on a very busy packed floor here for us.
Yeah, a lot of bodies. Again, the energy and the speed of the play and the compete of the guys was exactly what we wanted. And so, we're trying to get back to that winning culture, and the things we saw today are things that we want to see. And again, it was fast, sometimes too fast, but again, we'd rather pull the reins back than have to kick the horse. So,
what's the biggest things you're looking for in this first weekend of training camp, with obviously a lot of work to do getting ready for game number 1 in about a month's time?
Yeah, I think for us, we've got a lot of guys coming in, and so today the primary focus was just getting the bodies up and down the floor, getting them used to contact. Again, it's been a while since some of them have played. Slowly, introducing a couple of our concepts defensively and offensively, and tomorrow we'll get a lot more into that. And so for us, again, we feel like we don't need to start at square one. We got a number of players that we feel if they come to camp and they work hard and they show what they showed last year, we have a good base to start from. So for us, it's just kind of, again, trying to take off from where we ended last year.
Levi Anderson, it's hard to miss him out there. He's a big athletic presence, but talking with Derek, he said there's a lot of potential on both sides of the floor for him, whether it's the attacking or starting on the defense here. Where do you envision his game going here over the course of the year?
I think he's kind of like a Swiss Army knife, where if we play him out the back door, he's a big, strong, athletic body who can take up space and eliminate space. And then he's a threat when he gets down the floor offense, because a lot of times when a D guy brings the ball up the floor, there's a lot of space to attack. And so offensively, again, he's a bit of a matchup nightmare one-on-one, because he can beat you with speed or he can beat you with his strength. So for us, I think, again, it's just coaching him. It's been a while since he's played some box lacrosse. Again, though, what I love about him tonight is how coachable he wanted to be. We said you're going to start in a white jersey. He said I can be in a black, and that's the defensive position. So we started him out the O-door. we'll kind of just figure out where he's best needed. And again, he's one of those guys that allows you so much flexibility in a game where if you need a guy up the front door, you need a guy out the back, you can kind of move him around. And so, again, we just got to get him up to speed because, again, I think he's got a tremendous ceiling.
What's it like seeing Austin Shanks in green and black?
Shoots the ball extremely well, very high IQ guy, quiet, low maintenance it seems, but again, he's one of those guys that around the net, you know, when he gets it, it's going in the majority of the time, and so that's something that you can never have enough of. And I was impressed with how well he plays, you know, with the ball. You think of him a lot of times as a catch and shoot guy or a guy off the ball, but he was very good with the ball, made some crafty plays. He's a very good passer, so again, he's going to add an element to our offense that we need.
Getting back to that winning culture seems to be a main topic of discussion amongst the Rush this year. How do you get back to that winning culture, and what's the process look like?
Well, I think the process starts tonight in terms of how we do things and the pace we play at, how we conduct ourselves on the floor towards our teammates, how we conduct ourselves, you know, off the floor. And again, to steal a line from Bob McMahon, who coaches in this league, is well done is better than well said. And so that's for us, you know, words, they can only go so far. It's the actions. And so again, you know, we saw guys diving in front of shots tonight and crease diving on the in the scrimmage. And so those are the things that, again, you got to pay a price, both on and off the floor.
Yeah, there's that winning culture again, and bringing it back to the early days and the first 3 or 4 years in Saskatchewan.
Yeah, I was just going to add that's quite a. Sorry, I was just going to add, Gary. That's just kind of a real change of tone too, because you've heard the past couple of years like rebuild, bringing in younger guys. Now they're at the point. It's time to win now.
Yeah,
we've got the point now. We need to get to where we can learn to win.
They got the right people in there, top and bottom, as well as new guys and veterans.
Well, so having Derek behind the bench again is just make a little difference, right?
I'm not sold on though is their goaltending. I still, I'm not 100%.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, Shawn was a solid goaltender, but can be inconsistent. And then behind him, actually, that's going to be the more interesting battle is behind him with Thomas Kostiuk and Lane Rishka. Like, who's going to take that backup role and who's probably going to end up on the practice roster?
Right. Now, funny enough, Mike, we talked about this again and again and again. The size of these training camp rosters. The Rush have 37 guys in camp. 37 guys.
Yeah.
For 25.
Yeah. They say. And I think Coach Keenan did mention that's, you know, the most they've had in quite a while. Last couple of years, they haven't had to make, you know, more than maybe 5 or 6 cuts to get their team in order.
But if you look at it, of those 37, 32 of them are NLL caliber players.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think we're going to see this league wide, just with every team. Every team's got a lot of guys because, you know, now, you know, they absorbed players from Panther City. You know, they made trades, they signed draft picks, etc., other free agents. I think there's just going to be, you know, with Panther City dissolving and all that talent kind of being spread around the league, we're going to see a lot more competitive training camps.
There you go. Tanner agrees with us. Goaltending has been Saskatchewan's curse, and it has been over the number of years.
Yeah.
Had some pretty good goalies over the years too. Aaron Bold in his prime. Evan Kirk as well, who actually came there to reinvent himself and won a championship. So
yeah, and don't forget he's the goaltending coach still in Saskatchewan. So I mean, they got good coaching.
Definitely
goaltending.
Definitely. Well, they got good coaching. Period.
Yeah,
all over the race, right? So. We'll see. Now, Tanner also made mention that Calgary and Saskatchewan are the two with the young guns. Well, interestingly enough, the Roughnecks put a little bit of training camp hype.
And we are underway, and the Roughnecks Phoenix do win the opening face-off. We are here to raise this roof. Jesse King, backdoor cut the goal. King beats Dixon. King has room. Shoots and scores. That kid, he scored.
We love it so much, and it makes guys want to come back year after year. It makes opponents not want to come play here. So we're so happy to have the fans that we do, and we hope that they keep coming back to support us.
Takes a shot, and he scores! Tanner Cook ends it!
Not a bad hype video, I'd say. Now, they made a number of signings in the offseason because they lost a ton of guys. So one of the big ones, of course, that made us all go, was when they signed Dane Dobie. Well, let's listen to Dane about his first day in Calgary training camp, Calgary training camp.
We got going right away. A lot of people out here, and it was competitive. And we, it's flying in. It's felt like home a little bit, so it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, just talk about that competitive level here in the scrimmage. An 11-11 game had to be determined in a shootout. Did you think the intensity was where it should be at this point?
Yeah, for sure. Guys are competing. Mistakes are happening, and but guys are working hard. So we just got to keep going and keep building as a group.
And you've worked with Josh before when you're in San Diego. Has it felt kind of seamless to come into this offense again and work with Josh as a head coach this time?
Yeah, me and Josh go back a ways, so I understand them. And the guys here are great here. They know what's going on. They played all last year, and we're familiarizing each other with each other, and we're looking forward to next weekend.
And going into next weekend, just what do you guys have to do to build going into scrimmages against opponents, not your own teammates?
Yeah, just it might be a bit easier for us to get some more licks in and get some more game pace going against somebody else. But I'm excited to get with this left side and this whole team, so it'll be fun.
And a good test is they have Toronto as their first preseason game next Saturday. Again, if you're in the Oakville area or anywhere near it, it's free to get in there. So you might want to, if you're like me and jonesing for a little bit of lacrosse, this is the time. Almost want to put your bib and your fork and your knife in your hands. Ready. Now, they also had Cam McLeod to join the Calgary Roughnecks as well, addressing an issue that, we know that Kristen Del Bianco probably will not be wearing a Calgary Roughnecks jersey ever again. At least that's the way I take it.
Yeah.
So here's what he had to say about his first day.
The guys, finally the off-season work's paying off, and it's good to be back with the guys again. Yeah, it feels great.
And we talked in the off-season, and you said you wanted to take this shot and run with it as a starter. Do you think this was a good first step towards that here with the Roughnecks?
Yeah, absolutely. Seeing first team reps is always helpful, getting after it, but just 1 week at a time and slowly build and slowly get better and take on that.
And that second half, all goaltenders played really well in that second half. Just did anything change, or just maybe settling in a little bit, slowing down the scoring a bit?
Yeah, I finally identified the mistakes I made, and I was stepping out more and playing more shallow. I think gave me more time and helped at least on the scoreboard.
And just meeting the guys here, what have you thought of the group so far?
Yeah, great group. Yeah, you can tell how Calgary's been so successful over the years. I think it is an example of their character and a great group of guys and leadership. Yeah.
And just heading into Toronto, you finally get to play against other teams next weekend. Just what do you want to do next weekend when you're in Toronto against the Rock and Philadelphia?
Yeah, carry on what we've been working on this weekend. I think that we set a good foundation for a training camp, and just bring the same principles and effort. I think we'll be fine.
What says it all? I thought he looked really good when he was with Panther City. Unfortunately, he had Nick Damoud in front of him, so he never really had an opportunity to really run with it. Here, he has the opportunity. So it's all on him if he can take it and run with it, so to speak.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's keep with the West. We're going to move a little bit further south, though. We're going to head over into San Diego. And one of their many signings was taking Ben McIntosh out of Philadelphia. And of course, you're very familiar with him, Shawn.
Oh, yeah.
With the days of Saskatchewan and him and Robert Church terrorizing everything. Here's what Ben had to say, just a short little brief snippet from his little day outside, remember, San Diego.
Good pull, Benny. This team was a team that I was really excited about joining. Like a lot of the guys on the team I grew up with, so it's fun to see them, spend some time with them, and get to play with them again. I mean, this team's been right on the brink for multiple years. I feel really excited that we got a good chance, a hungry team, and first practice here was a really good showing. So I'm hoping we have good things to come for this season. I mean, I'm just trying to help out as much as we can. I want to help us get wins. We have a lot of depth on the right side, so being able to create space for people, being able to set picks, finish the ball inside, kind of whatever they need me to do, I'm here to do and just help the team win.
Not bad. Got a question from Gord Brown. What happened to CDP? Well, Mike, you want to handle this one?
Oh, boy.
We can all take a section of it if you really want to.
Yeah, he posted on Instagram sometime after the season that basically that he would not be re-signing with Calgary. They still have his rights, but it sounds like he's just going to be on the holdout list for a year. And I mean, they had a similar situation a few years back with Westberg.
Exactly, and they did the same thing.
Out a year, and my understanding with his move to San Diego was that being a rep for Warrior Lacrosse, they wanted him to be their rep in the San Diego area. So, he's signed there. He's been there ever since.
Well, Del Bianco, the other thing was he was getting married, and he wanted to talk about stuff outside of lacrosse, which I guess is a business that he has. He is a Coquitlam kid, and I guess he wanted to be closer to Coquitlam. Hence, Vancouver keeps coming up in the conversation. But Calgary looks like they're going to shelve him for the year.
Yeah, so I guess basically explain the franchise tagged him Calgary, even though they knew he wasn't going to resign, and he's at the age and experience that he can't reject the franchise tag. So literally, like Mike said, his rights stay with Calgary unless they move him.
Yeah. So
and unless
an odd situation. I mean, he's stuck, and I mean, we speculated a lot about possible trades for Vancouver. The idea of reuniting with Kurt Malosky, but I guess Vancouver didn't bite, or from everything we've kind of surmised, Vancouver's going to roll the dice, I think, with Aiden Walsh and keep moving forward with him and Connor O'Toole.
Yeah, well, that's the future, right? Both options there. That's the future.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, because I believe, I know the NLL had posted a while back they put up a couple of posts with some bigger name free agents that were still unsigned, and I think Aaron Bold was on that list.
He still is, yeah.
And I think he still is. So,
lots of things everything kind of turned on its head when Panther City folded, right? Because we talked about maybe could they move Walsh to Calgary for Del Bianco, kind of make that switch. But once Panther City folded and Cam McLeod became available, even we were talking about Demood, obviously he went to Philadelphia earlier in the draft, but that kind of tipped everything on its head, saying, "Oh, now Calgary doesn't have a need, right?"
I got Higgins moving to Ottawa. That's even crazier. That nobody saw that one coming, but nobody really saw that Demood going to Philadelphia. We all were figuring whether he's going to go to Calgary, whether they're going to go to Vancouver, if they're going to make a deal or something like that.
And even then, though, Gary, you talked about McLeod, we kind of figured McLeod would be the next likely choice in that draft to Calgary because, like you said, we've seen what he's done in limited action with Panther City, and it was very good. And it's his time to shine now. And like I said, it just tipped everything on his head because now Calgary didn't have a need for a goaltender because they have McLeod. So there's, unless Vancouver's going to trade somewhere else and lose somewhere else in order to pick up Del Bianco. And like you said, we've always talked before that Aiden Walsh is the future in Vancouver, and I don't think they want to give up on him. So it kind of puts everything in limbo.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now we bring up Vancouver, and I have a little clip of Kurt Milosky talking about his first day of training camp.
I like to compete. I like the fact that we can kind of hit the ground running. We put a lot of our systems in last year, and today I think we spent a good 45 minutes of the last session going through that. I thought the game was decent. I liked some of it. I didn't like some of it, but I thought today overall we tied everything in. It was a good weekend.
What tone have you set for the first couple days of training camp?
Intensity, urgency, compete. Retention is important. We talk about fundamentally sound lacrosse. We don't want guys throwing balls off hips. We don't want guys not making right decisions. We want to make sure that we're doing things the right way, and habits are big, and habit forming is huge. And, we did a good job with forming some good habits this weekend.
Is there anything that you're building off of from the end of last year and bringing into this season?
Just the fact that I think we last year, near the end of the year, we became a resilient team, and that's one of our last core values, of being resilient. I think the guys ended up, the trust was there, and you just can't have the trust, but, verbally say, hey, I trust you. You have to earn it. And I think, those over the first 10 games of the season, we slowly got there, and I don't think we didn't turn on each other. I'm a big play where your feet are, play in the moment. I think guys understood if you play in the moment and you follow the process, you'll have a lot of success overall. I mean, we're not scoreboard watching or standings watching at all. We're just kind of doing our thing and playing where our feet are, and I think we learned from that, and it was big.
That about says it all. So they're all looking like they're heading in the right direction. Now, me personally, I love what Vancouver's done, and I think adding Jeff Cornwall to this already potent lineup with a big bruising back end and two really decent goalies, I think, wow, they can do a lot of damage this year.
I'm right with you, Gary. And you know what? We talk about winning culture. Vancouver's another team that was even more so because they didn't really have a winning culture almost ever. But this is their time now to bring that to their locker room and say, hey, we have the talent now to win.
Yeah. Not since the Washington Stealth back around 2010 or 12 have there's been a winning culture over there. And now you look at the coaching. You have Rob Williams as the defensive coach. Of course, Kurt. You've got Bob McMahon as your offensive guy, and wow, you want to talk about a long lineage. If I start reading Bob's his resume, I would be here for 3 days, and all the winning that he's done in his career, and having a conversation with him at the Worlds, and just sitting and talking for 10 or 15 minutes. It's just amazing, just amazing.
Yeah. You even heard Jimmy Quinlan quoting Bob McMahon in his.
Yeah, and I'll add to that. The last couple of years they brought in players who have that winning experience. We're talking about Cornwall now, but bringing Brett Midsky home, he's won a few championships. Bringing Ryan Dilks in, bringing Kevin Crowley in, guys who know how to win. And have won in the past.
They played for Kurt in the past as well, whether it was in WLA or in NLL, and know what Kurt expects and what their roles are. So everybody has defined roles, so it's not just freewheeling. And yeah, it took them a little bit last year to get rolling. But boy, if you remember the press conference where Kurt was just at wit's end with guys and kind of old culture. And from that point on, you could almost, with a measuring stick, say that was when this team made the turn. And from that point on, they were an absolute juggernaut, to look for a better word. But they were just, white hot the rest of the season. Nobody wanted to play them. And home games were getting more and more people, and that became a home advantage for them. And they fed off that and built on that. And this year, I'm going to say, I'll go on a limb and say I'm going to see a whole lot more of that.
Yeah.
It's not just in the West.
I'm glad Mike brought up bringing players in too, and coming home. Or I remember sitting on this podcast with you guys and talking about why isn't good Vancouver players not want to play in Vancouver? They always seem to balk at playing in Vancouver, playing at home, which is unusual. Now that's completely changed. You're seeing more guys from Vancouver wanting to play at home now. And like we're talking about the Christian Bianco situation, we're seeing guys want to come that way. Even like guys sitting out at other teams saying, I want to go to Vancouver.
Right. Now, when I had Del Monte on the other show, and of course, Del Monte was the only coach of the Vancouver Ravens. And that was his whole idea was, one, to save expenses, was to get guys at local who were available. And well, the first couple of years, they really were onto something because they made the playoffs and they did very well in the first couple of years. It was in year 3 where the money kind of fell short and they had all kinds of other issues. It wasn't about players. And why the Ravens became non-existent was about stuff outside of the floor, not in there. And of course, Paul left after year 3, and there never was a year 4 there. But same idea. And with that culture, and with a reputable guy behind the bench, and putting that team together, it was a lot easier to gather guys from the area and put a good team together. We're seeing that now again. So, yeah, I look for a lot of big things. If we had divisions, I would say that teams that really stand out in my eyes is Vancouver over in the West and Georgia over in the East. And, they just got stronger, signing Capito last week. And they already had a huge nucleus, as well as one of the best goalies that we've seen in years in Brett Dobson.
And Georgia really hasn't lost much either in the offseason, as far as I can tell. Yeah.
No. And you still have Lyle Thompson. And you still have guys like Shane Jackson. And you still have Brian Cole, who can go both ways on there. And it goes on and on and on and on, let alone the other draft picks and things like that are up and coming. So, with guys like Sean Ferris and Eddie Como at the top, that this team is going to be very well prepared, and their drafting is going to be very, very cerebral, and to keep them in the thick of it for years to come. Because unlike a Toronto or a Buffalo or even a Rochester, where a lot of guys are from the area, and you can scoop free agents and bring guys home, now you can say that with Vancouver as well. But a place like Georgia, well, if they don't draft smart and don't be cerebral on how they put their thing together, they'll go the way of Panther City. Because Panther City had the players because they had the management. They just couldn't get butts in the seats and couldn't market. Well, Arlotta was able to stick out the lean years, and now they're getting people. And they have strong teams, so they're easy to market. It's always easier to market a winner. Yep. Doesn't matter what sport you're in. Or you can use Darius Kilgore's thing, make the tickets $10, the beer $2, put 3 fights in the game, and fill up anywhere. Still one of my favorite quotes. But we had our guy. We had Pat. And, of course, Pat will be with us all season long doing the Wings Nest for us. And he went to the practice that the Wings had an open practice on Saturday. And he put together this little report for us.
What's going on, everyone? It's your guy, Pat Bernard, reporting to you live from the Wings Practice Center. And these guys are gearing up for next month, getting ready for their regular season play. As you see these guys scrimmaging out, you guys see Mitch Jones out there on the field, their captain, their playmaker. Guys done a phenomenal job. This time, the Philadelphia Wings are looking to turn their season around. You know, they struggled at home last year. Paul Day stepping down from head coach to just general manager. And as you can see, he's on that top balcony looking at a squad, seeing what guys are doing what pieces are going to fit this upcoming season. And, it's going to be an interesting season, to say the least. But, guys, stay tuned. I'll have all your post-conferences and more. So, guys, your boy Pat Bernard reporting to you live for Stream Punk Entertainment, all lacrosse, all the time. See ya.
That's our boy Pat. Always in the thick of it. Let's hope he's easier on the coaches there. I don't want to see the coaches cry anymore.
Well, I see no reason for him not to be more optimistic. I mean, it needs to be said again. I think Philadelphia, hands down, won that Panther City draft.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You know, between the choices they made and the trades, you know, during and just after the draft, you know, the amount they gained for the amount they traded in, I mean, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
So, and they really improved on both sides of the floor with what they acquired.
I also think that the team that's gone out completely under the radar has been Rochester, because they did the same thing that Philadelphia did, was address needs. And one of the needs was, of course, transition. That's been lagging the last few years. Again, goaltending is another thing that's up in the air. It depends on how healthy and how consistent Ryland Hartley can be. It looks like he's back. I sure hope that he's not leading with his head anymore, because I don't want to see any more of that. But if he's healthy and he's playing well, and Rochester has that offense that we already knew that they had, that was just absolutely lights out, but have a transition game, and they bolstered up their defense as well, they're another one. So the one thing that's going to happen this year is the any given Sunday idea. Anybody can beat anybody any day of the week. There is such parity now that I can't tell you a team that I think, well, they'll finish last and they'll finish first. You can put them in a hat right now on paper.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Even teams we thought that were out of it, like Calgary, well, they've done enough movement around now that they're in the conversation again as well.
Even like the ones that we think are going to be dominant, like the San Diego's, even the Toronto's. I know, Kerry, you're going to hate me for saying this, but they're going to probably have a great regular season, but can they keep it up into the postseason? I mean, that's just the history of the Rock lately, right? Is they have a great regular season, kind of peter out in the postseason. Same with San Diego. Great regular season, peter out in the postseason.
Yeah, it's if they can have staying power, but if they have enough guys in there and can rotate them and actually rest them, instead of going full bull toogie all the way through the season, all boogie all the way, and these guys are exhausted come playoff time. Well, Tanner, let's go with a different one. Let's go with Joe Tsai and him being part of San Diego and him being part of Las Vegas. Does that work for you? I haven't seen anything that shows me that Pegula is doing anything he shouldn't be doing between Buffalo and Rochester. And he's got, I believe, his wife and another entity running the Rochester squad and a different entity running Buffalo. So it's not just a family sitting over the dinner table going, yeah, we'll move him because we need to win the championship here. So, and don't forget, it goes through the league. And even more scrutinized because of that specific idea.
Yeah. I mean, I've had people ask me about that before, and I always go back to if anyone has this idea that Rochester is somehow a feeder team for Buffalo, why is Connor Fields on Rochester and not on Buffalo?
Yeah.
Because
the only time it got kind of weird was
Buffalo had a chance to retain him, keep him on a protected list. They didn't. Rochester gets him. They had a chance to get him back from Rochester. They didn't get him.
Right. The only time it got a little weird, and I have to admit it myself, was when Buffalo was going for a playoff run, and Sean Evans was traded from Rochester to Buffalo. That was a little bit of a head scratcher. Going, isn't that convenient? But you take a look at all the teams that Sean Evans had played for, and well, just another one on the list.
Yeah. Like you said, Gary, everything's got to go through the league, right? So if there's any undoing.
But it's interesting that we don't talk about San Diego and Vegas. Same idea.
Yeah.
So I really think it's a misnomer. But you worry somewhere else.
We should just be happy that we got these thick,
these wallets
deep pocketed owners. We should just be happy we have these deep pocket owners that are happy to be part of the league and promote it.
Yeah,
absolutely. We already had enough rumors and silliness about Rochester moving to, Ottumwa, Iowa, or wherever the heck we're talking about before. In a town is smaller than Rochester, so we don't need any more of that nonsense.
Yeah.
But I've taken a look at. There were a few signings this week. We had Vegas placed Justin Getty, Mustang Sally, and Marshall King on the physically unable to perform list. Curious how long Marshall King's going to be out with that wrist injury from the Mann Cup, because as far as I know, that was broken. We can call it fractured, but that was a hell of a slash.
That'd be a big loss for Las Vegas.
That would be huge.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'd be worried about about losing Getty as well.
Yeah,
he was specifically signed to kind of push Landon Kells,
solidify that goaltender position
in training camp.
Well, the Landon Kells that I watched this summer, I don't think he needs much pushing. He looked great for the majority of the summer.
No, I don't doubt that. I think it was just it's there's going to be competition and. Hey, we appreciate what you did last year, with the team, but, you got to prove yourself again.
Yeah. All right. Vegas Desert Dogs also placed Tyler Carpenter, Zach Cole, Tor Reinhold, and Jack Van Overbeek on the holdout list from the active roster. So all these things that we had seen earlier, now they're all not on the squad. So, and they released Conrad.
Tor Reinhold's a big part of their defense. So.
Yeah. But I mean, this is training camp, right? This is where you're starting to hide guys in different parts of the roster, and things get a little funny, right?
Yeah, I mean, they've had their losses though. I mean, Griffin Hall and John Wagner obviously aren't there anymore. Trying to think of who else. I mean, I know obviously that they have Shane Simpson now. So that's a big boost.
Right. Oh, Vegas was busy because they had one other one is they placed Kenny Brower on the holdout list from the active roster as well. So Vancouver plays Matt Beers on the active roster from the injury reserve list. That's big.
Yeah.
But they took Chris Woman and put him on the holdout list from the active roster. So once again, Chris Woman finds a home but doesn't find a home.
Yeah.
In the story of his NLL career. Here's an interesting one, guys. Is that Toronto signed Brooker Muir to a 1-year agreement. Now Brooker's
this signing I like.
Yeah, this is a good one. He had a great summer. And I think he can do immediate help with the Rock. And the Rock get younger.
Yeah.
And more physical and more athletic at the same time. So they have to do something to keep up with all the other movement going on in here. And remember, Schreiber's out for a while.
Yeah.
Hopefully he's back by the beginning of the new year. But again, just like last year, we didn't see Schreiber come back until February from an injury he sustained. So, maybe the NLL start telling their players that they can't play PLL. Wouldn't that be interesting? Set everything back quite a bit. Ottawa Black Bears have signed Justin Robinson to a 1-year agreement. Saskatchewan signed Jake Brown to a 1-year agreement. Calgary signed Eric George to a 1-year agreement. San Diego signed Tyler Kirby to a 1-year agreement. Halifax placed Ajax Zapatello on the draft list, and they released Chris Fake from the draft list. So I guess that was just a fake. Sorry. Not a whole lot. Then there's still a few names on that transaction wire.
And Halifax, boy, Halifax probably has 40 guys in training camp this year. So, I mean, they had two guys that, they expected to retire last year that didn't, but also didn't end up re-signing with Halifax. So, there's some room on that team.
Yeah, I was gonna say they lost quite a bit.
Get in when you factor in Banesh and David Brock leaving, Fresnel getting traded, Luke Magnan signing as a free agent with Ottawa, I believe.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So there's a number of key spots, and we had talked. I mean, I thought Luke Magnan was going to be. I thought he and Graham Hossick were going to play together their entire career. So obviously that's not the case now, but there are some openings, and then you've got some guys too that I think are injured right now. Duncan Thompson is on physically on injured reserve, or injured reserve, I think.
He's on injured reserve.
Is Trevor Smith injured as well? There's someone else on that defense, I think, that's injured. I could be wrong about that, but
right. But also you got Dan Lintner. He's still on the list. You have Toronto didn't re-sign Sheldon Burns either, so he's out there as well. Still a number of players, as well as Aaron Bold, right?
Yeah.
Yep, Leo Storos, I believe, is still unsigned.
Still unsigned, yep.
So
that one strikes me as odd.
Yeah, that one I'm a bit baffled by too, but I mean, I think Glenn Clark. I think Glenn Clark was more than pleased with what he saw last year out of both Nicholas Volkov and Zach Young, who both were pretty high draft picks. And again, you have Will Johansson coming in now after 2 years, kind of on the shelf. So, the hope is that he's going to be a solid anchor on that defense.
Right. It's going to be interesting. We'll have a better gauge after next weekend when the teams start playing one another, and these guys have a chance in game situations to start working with one another, because that's proofs in the pudding, right? That's what.
Yeah, I think so, and I get the sense with everything that's happened in the off season, just how everything's played out, and a lot of teams getting kind of unexpected extra assets with Panther City dissolving. I think it's going to be a couple weeks. I don't think we're going to see a lot of cuts until the last 1 or 2 weekends.
Which is going to be interesting.
And then there's going to be a lot. Then there's going to be a lot of them.
It's going to be a barrage.
Then there's going to be a lot of them. Yeah.
35 guys in camp. Every team is going to get rid of 10. Well, you do the math, right? That's 140 players that aren't playing.
Yeah.
Gee, do you think we can put a team or two together if we find a good market?
It would be nice.
Yeah,
I think it's about time, honestly.
And I don't know about you guys, but I mean, do you get the sense that we're going to see, after all those releases, that we're going to see a lot of pickups here and there?
I think we're going to see a number of them because there's going to be names out there that'll be like, wow, we can't leave him. Nobody's taking him. I'll grab him and then try and fit it in. And then you're going to see other movement, the guys who thought they had jobs. It's going to be
that's where I'm tough.
I mean, the last couple of years, I haven't felt like that's high risk, but I don't know why this year I feel like it's higher risk to do that.
Yeah, like I said, I can definitely
to wait until someone gets released, and then you're picking them up, and now all of a sudden they're coming. Now all of a sudden they're coming to the team with maybe 1 weekend of training camp left, if that. They might be coming in, and you could be signing them right before a season opener.
Yeah, because I was going to say, like, for the Gary, I can see a lot of that second part, a lot of guys that we thought had jobs locked up that got released. But I have a hard time seeing the other way around because I think just the way you're seeing it, and again, because we're seeing basically this is 2 draft years and why we're seeing so many bodies in camp, that a lot of these, I think, rosters are going to be locked up, and it's going to be hard to bring extra bodies in and try to play around with that roster after camp.
That's a good point. Also, don't think coaches are willing to fracture relationships like that. That's another thing too.
Yeah,
it's about chemistry. But I'll tell you what, ALL is only $10 a ticket. You're going to see a lot of NLL type games.
This ALL season's going to be something else.
ALL's really going to benefit from this.
Oh yeah. They'll be expanding because there's not enough room for all the other players because their combines are going on because their season starts also at the beginning of December, and the West has already started. So this is going to be an interesting thing. But I really, if nothing else, the league has been working with grassroots programs for a number of years to have this abundance. Well, we have this abundance now and nowhere to put them. So now I think it is up to the league, and almost the onus is with the league now to create teams in markets that make sense, not just create teams, but to create teams in markets that make sense and give at least, I would say, 2 teams, bring them up to 16 again. And, you're going to put another 45 guys, 50 guys out of that 140 that we're talking about to work. And I think that would more or less even it all out because there's still competition. You still get the best players. You don't water down the product. And you have guys going into ALL. You have guys developing. You have other things happening. But you have solid teams in solid markets. And it works with growing the league to where they want to be anyways. But a key there is solid markets. It's like I had said weeks before, is you want to find for these next couple of teams markets that are that no box lacrosse. You don't want to go into a market where you have to teach box lacrosse because right away you're hamstringing yourself. Down the road, yes. Once we have this going on and more settled, sure. But you just lost Panther City. And you don't want to start gambling with an area of maybe they like it, maybe they don't. Go into areas that no box. I don't care where it is. I don't care if it's in the U.S. I don't care if it's in Canada. Hell, I don't care if it's in Mexico, for Christ's sake. As long as they know box. Simple. And again, back with your mantra of ownerships. It's NHL, NBA, ownership groups. Or pockets like Josai or Pagula that can afford it, that are, willing to put a 5-year plan together and stick with it. Because there's enough other things going on where you can make your revenue, where you don't have to worry like the old days of throwing down a carpet, opening up the door, and praying that people walk through it. Now, between marketing, between merchandise with Fanatics, between the trading cards, between the other groups and partners, and between the ESPN and TSN deals, there's enough revenue in there that can help stabilize everything right away. And if you're already in a market that knows the game and is hungry to watch the game, and the more it gets on ESPN and TSN on main network, never mind ESPN 43 and TSN Plus, that actually get it onto the bark and put it on and go there, and it's there, and people are watching the game and going, what is that? How do I watch that? What is it here? And the more they do that, it works. Because otherwise, again, we're preaching to the choir, where guys like us are going to watch it on anything, anywhere. But it's tough to get that new group to watch it if they have to pay for it or have to go and make any effort to do it. Here, it's just boom, it's on your TV. That's my initial thinking. After, of course, of course we can do that, or part and parcel with, and play around a little bit and put the league's resources behind it and help a new owner out. But for the initial thing now, where we have this influx of so many players that are going to be without work, that I think into markets that are pretty much surefire markets with good ownerships for a couple of teams, and don't settle or stop before you get that, right? Because it's not if we have two of these things or three of or one of the. No, you need to tick all the boxes right now for these couple of teams, and then we can start getting a little bit more loose on it. But I think you need to be stringent now and get two more teams in there in the next couple of seasons, because the players are going to keep coming. Junior is more competitive than it's ever been, and it's always been competitive. So where are they going? And why would they be staying in there if it doesn't look like there's going to be a spot for the next 4 years? You know, wouldn't you be happy to be drafted to Buffalo, except that you can't get a position? Wouldn't you be happy to be drafted to Toronto, except you may not see a position for the next 3 years, 4 years? Now you can say that about Saskatchewan.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be great to be drafted, or Georgia? Wouldn't it be great to be drafted, but there's no spots. What are you going to do? You know, flying in to play every Tuesday or Wednesday doesn't really cut it, right?
Right.
So there is a need. And it's at a point now where it needs to be addressed, because it's not going to get less. And if it does get less, then we've killed what we did. And with the Olympics around the corner, and 3 years is not a long time. You know, 3 years goes by like this. Before you know what we're talking about, this summer, we're going to be seeing sixes in the Olympics and blah, blah, blah. Well, if we don't have everything in order, when the world gets to see the game and then afterwards sees how disheveled we are, we're worse off than we were before this.
Well, and that's a key point, Gary, especially if we're talking about the game in general. And I said it before, and I'm going to say it again. Box and field have to be on the same page and have to be in bed with each other. We can't be competing against each other, saying, no, field is going to pretend like box doesn't exist, and box field pretends like field doesn't exist. We can't have this. We have to stop this infighting and this competition amongst ourselves if we want to grow the game.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because most of it, guys like you, me, Mike, a whole host of our fans watch both. Watch all of it.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if it's in the US, doesn't matter it's in Canada. Been watching online, and you know, I've been watching Kufla and Baggataway Cup all weekend. Hell, I'm at a football game and I'm watching Baggataway Cup. I'm at a football playoff game and I'm watching Baggataway Cup. Figure that one out. You know, there's a niche. There's a reason. And if we want to keep going like the ads say, as to being the new fourth sport, well, we better figure out how to act like it. Because if I remember right, the NHL, they moved themselves up when they had to, right? If we're saying that we're right there before the explosion in the 80s of the NHL, well, you know, the NHL moved their way up from 12 to 18 to 24 to whatever, amounts of teams to 30-something teams along the way, right? Now, they didn't just go 1 year and put 9 teams in. They moved up and, moved things in. The only time I saw a major one was when they swallowed up the WHA and had four teams out of the whole league that they put in. But, I think right now is when it has to be in the forefront of their thing. I agree with you, Gord. It was some great lacrosse, right down to today's game. The score looked lopsided, but really, that first half was to die for. Absolutely to die for. Such great lacrosse and some great players that play both field and box and are committed to places east and west and junior. Absolutely. Absolutely. And the shots on goal, if you look at that, we're pretty close to at that point. It's just Western put it in a fifth gear in the second half, and Queens just couldn't keep up. But yeah, getting back to my point there, this is where the league needs to look now. And whether it's this year, next year, the year after, it has to be done in the next couple of years. Otherwise, 140 becomes 280, becomes 500. And then what? Out of that 500, you're going to get 350 to 400 going, oh, well, back to my good thing I got a degree. And who loses? We do.
Fans.
Yep.
U.S. Box Luck, Gord, is taking care of most of that stuff there, and it's in all areas now in the U.S. So it's growing rapidly and exponentially as well. And they're getting a lot of top-name coaches from all over the place to do it. And you still have the prep programs, the guys like Chris Panos, the guys like Marichuk doing it as well in prep schools, just like we have with the Hill here. Even out west, you've got Pace with his, Crowley with his, you got Shatler in Saskatchewan with his. It's all over the place. So there are all kinds of things. Everything that we were asking for, we're getting. Now we just don't have the end result of what to do once we're done. So if we spend all this time and energy and we're banging our heads off the wall because we didn't really spend any time on grassroots, well, we did now. And now we have to find somewhere to put them because we got to keep them in the game. Otherwise, this is all for nothing. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So much effort by so many people putting in so many hours, a lot of the time just on, for free or close to it. Because you know how rich we all get in lacrosse. So at least let us see the fruition of it all and the fruits of the labors by having them go somewhere and be able to, take the pleasure of watching them succeed. Not maybe have to walk away from the game frustrated that they couldn't find a place to play. Anyways, let's leave it there for this week. I want to remind everybody that we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, X, whichever one works for you. We're on Instagram, we're on Thread, as well as we're on YouTube. Please give us a look. Please give us a listen. And please tell your friends, tell your family, tell your coworkers. Facebook, we're there all day, every day, right up to the minute with everything there. Twitter as well. Instagram as quick as we can. And YouTube, retro games, interviews, all kinds of things going up there and more all the time. One more from Gord. The one thing that everybody seems to come back to, at least in Canada, is the ALL, if they could work more like the AHL. And each team would have their own division. We have enough ALL teams now that basically every team be able to have their own farm system. That way, these guys, when they don't have a spot, can get down there and you can have your own coaches and coach your systems. Not play 1 year with one team, another year with another team, play with teammates that you're going to be playing against up in when you make it to the NLL. So that was the one idea a lot of the NLL guys have voiced when I've been doing interviews with them over the last couple of years. Guys have put that across as they'd like to see that come. And that's the biggest thing. So we're in the final words. Shawn, let's go over to you with the final words.
Just looking forward now. Training camps opened up, just kind of seeing how rosters start shaping up. And once those exhibition games and preseason games get started, see how teams start comparing once they get up against other teams.
All right, Mike, final words to you.
Pretty much the same. just looking forward to seeing if there's a lot of surprises with roster cuts and who makes it, who doesn't, and how teams what teams do when when releases do happen. So
that's going to be an interesting thing. I think there will be a lot of movement, but I also I take into account some of the comments there that they're not going to break chemistry, but needs that they see, if they're able to scoop something up in a hurry, that'll come in. And unfortunately, the ones that'll be on the cusp will be a lot of the rookies that thought they had a job. So, double-edged sword, really. But again, another push for full-time and having bigger squads and bigger practices, and a couple of times a week practice as opposed to once a week. And we'll see what happens down the road on all this. The other one thing, guys, that we never really touched upon is if they go full-time, and we're all gung-ho, yeah, full-time. Well, they price their fan base out of tickets, because most of us can't afford hockey tickets or basketball tickets, because that's 41 games.
Right.
Yeah.
And even if they're cheap, like lacrosse tickets are cheaper, 40 of those tickets become a lot more expensive than 9 of those tickets. And will they price their fan base out of business?
It's definitely
That's another thing to keep in mind.
It's a balancing act. I think it's a little apples to oranges compared to like the NBA or the NHL, because you're talking about guys making millions upon millions of dollars. Even if they go full time, they're not going to be making that much. But I think you make a good point. Is could it maybe be a little more less affordable for, say, like a family of 4?
Well, just the simple math is saying, let's say a ticket is $50 to be on the glass that you're sitting, right?
Yeah.
And you're paying 9, so you're paying $450 for a year for season ticket. Well, now instead of having 9 tickets, you have 40 tickets at $50. So that's a couple of thousand times 3 or 4 for your family. Well, do you have 8,000 in your expendable account? You may have 1,200 to put it out in a payment plan with the team, but 1,200 or 6 to 8,000. That's a big difference.
And again, you're talking about one person. Now let's talk about a family of 4.
But I'll say, with the marketing right now is that it's affordable. You can bring a family of 4.
Yeah.
I look at McDonald's when you used to be able to get change for a 5. Now you might be able to get change for a 50.
Yeah.
So, that's my only concern when we keep talking about full-time. Yay. But the money's got to come from somewhere that the owners can do this and pay the players. And the players are not going to go into their careers. They're going to play lacrosse. So it really is it's a double-edged sword and a huge balancing act if you're able to do it. So anyways, more food for thought for another day. Once again, it is our pleasure and our privilege to give you all the information as quick as we can, as accurate as we can, day in, day out, week in, week out. Remember, it is still Native American Heritage Month, and we will have articles up every day dealing with different aspects of Native culture and with lacrosse, and to bridge understanding and all the other things to help put everybody as one. Anyways, for Shawn Slaght over in Moose Jaw and for Muffler Mike over in Connecticut, I'm Gary Groob in Toronto, wishing you the best of weeks, thanking you again for your patronage week in and week out. And until next week, keep your stick in your hands, and we'll see you again next Sunday at 9 p.m. Until then, have a great week.